Once again, I welcome on the class of hydraulic engineering. So in the last class, I have discussed about the how to compute the critical depth and critical specific energy in rectangular and triangular channel. So in rectangular channel, we have seen that the critical depth is equal to the q square by g to the power 1 by 3, and the critical specific energy is 1.5 times the critical depth of the channel. Similarly, in the triangular channel, I have derived the expression of critical depth, and the critical depth was 2 q square by g m square to the power 1 by 5, where q is the discharge and m is the slope of the sloping side, that is 1 vertical and m horizontal, and yc is the critical depth. And in the triangular channel, we have seen that the critical specific energy is 1.25 times the critical depth of the channel. Or in any type of channel, if we are interested to compute the critical depth, so we have the condition q square t by gaq is equal to 1. So to put the value of top width and critical area, then we will get the value of critical depth, and similarly we can compute the critical specific energy also. So today I will discuss the channel transition. In channel transition, I will discuss that for in subcritical and supercritical flow, how the upstream depth and downstream depth, or depth at section 11 and section 22, how it will change, and then how to compute the height of hump and maximum height possible in a flow. So let us discuss about the channel transition. So transition is the portion of channel with varying cross section. Let us assume a rectangular channel of base width is or bottom width is b, and provided with a uniform surcharge, and it has a rise at the bottom of the channel, which is frequently known as the hump of the channel. So here I have made the channel. Let us assume this is our channel. So at section 1 or upstream side, the depth of flow is y1, and the specific energy is E1. Similarly, at the downstream of the at the downstream side, so a smooth hump is made, and so the depth of the flow here is y2. So if the hump is there, so our depth of downstream depth will decrease, and once the depth of flow is decreased, so specific energy will also decrease. So as the width of the channel is not changing, the discharge not changing, so the discharge per unit width will be same at different section for a total discharge q throughout the section, because small q is the discharge per unit width, so it will be constant. But due to the hump, our depth of flow is decreasing, so the specific energy is also decreasing at the downstream side. Similarly, a time come when the downstream depth will decreases, and it will reach to the critical depth. At that time, our specific energy will be critical specific energy. So here we have write the, since the specific energy is measured with respect to channel bed as the datum, so the rise in the bottom of the channel causes a decrease in specific energy, and this specific energy E2 at hump will be less than the specific energy E1 at section 1, because here the depth of flow we can see that is more as compared to the at this depth y2, so the specific energy E2 will be less than E1. So this thing I have written, and say by an amount of height hump delta z. So I have assumed that the height of hump is delta z. Here this is the height of hump delta z. So we can write that E1 is equal to E2 plus delta z. So here I have written E2 is equal to E1 minus delta z, or E1 is equal to E2 plus delta z. Now I have taken the two cases. The first case that is the subcritical flow, and the second one is supercritical flow. So we know that in subcritical flow our Froude number is less than unity. So we have drawn the specific. I have drawn the specific energy curve, and this is the graphical representation of depth of flow versus the specific energy. So we can see that at section 1 we can see that the depth of flow is y1, and the specific energy is E1. Similarly, once we go to the downstream side, so the we can see that the specific energy is decreasing, and this specific decrease in specific energy and the sum due to the height of hump. So if I add this height of hump and decrease in specific energy, so that will be the equal to the specific energy at section 11. So we can see here that the decrease in specific energy is E2, and at that depth the depth of flow or downstream depth is Y2, and it will decrease up to, so up to a height of critical depth. Before after that, if the once again if I reduce the value, so the maximum possible height is delta Z max. So we can write E1 is equal to E2 plus delta Z or EC plus delta Z max. So here I have written from the specific energy versus depth of flow plot that if the flow is in subcritical state, a decrease in specific energy is associated with the decrease in depth of flow and increase in velocity. So at hump, depth of flow decreases and velocity head increases. Let the depth of flow at section 1 be y1. So I have assumed that at section 1 the depth of flow is y1, and at section 2 we can see here the depth of flow is y2. So we can write that if the height of hump at section 2 increases further, then depth of flow and specific energy at section 2 decreases. We can see that if the height of hump is further increases, then our depth and specific energy is decreases, and it will reach up to the critical point, and this energy is called critical specific energy, and at that depth the depth is called critical depth. So we can write here but for the constant discharge Q, the reduction in specific energy is limited to critical depth YC. At this point, height of hump will be maximum, that is delta Z is equal to delta Z max, and depth of flow will be reached, downstream depth will reach to the critical depth, and downstream specific energy reach to the critical specific energy. So here we can write that, here from the graph we can write that E2 turns to EC, and EC can be written as this E1 minus delta Z max. So here we have written E2 is equal to EC is equal to E1 minus delta Z max. What will happen if the height of hump once again increasing from the delta Z max? Then at that condition flow is not possible, and this condition is called choked condition. So if delta Z is greater than delta Z max, then in order to pass the same discharge, the specific energy will have to be increased, otherwise flow is not possible. So we have to increase the specific energy, otherwise flow is not possible, and such condition is called choked condition. So if our height of hump is greater than the maximum height possible, maximum height of hump, then at that condition is called choked condition. So here I have written in subcritical flow approaching the hump, the required increase in specific energy is provided with the increase in depth of flow, and at this section we can write, so at this section we have to increase the value of depth of flow at section 11. So here we can write the E1 dash minus delta Z is equal to EC, where E1 dash is the new specific energy at section 11. So for subcritical flow, if I write the, if our height of hump is in between the 0 to delta Z max, then upstream depth level remains stationary at y1, while the depth of flow at section 2 decreases. And a condition comes when our delta z is equal to delta z max. At that condition, our downstream depth, that is y2, decreases to yc, and specific energy turns to is converted in the critical specific energy. So here I have written when delta z is equal to delta z max, so y2 reaches to critical depth. Similarly, when the delta z means height of hump is greater than the maximum height of hump is possible, so at that time y2 will constant and y2 will constant as yc, and y1 will increases to y1 dash. So here we can see the curve. So this is our graphical representation between the two depth of flow and height of hump. So here we can see that up to delta z max, the value of y1 is constant, and once the height of hump is greater than the maximum height of the hump, then y1 will increases. Similarly, up to when our delta z is in between the 0 to delta z max, so our downstream depth is decreasing. That means depth of flow at section 22 will be decreases, and it will be equal to the critical depth, and it will be after when delta z is greater than delta z max, so y2 will be equal to the critical depth, and that is constant. So with the help of that we can compute the maximum possible height of hump or what will be the increase in upstream depth of flow to maintain the flow. So here we can compute. Similarly, in the second case, when our flow is supercritical, so in case of supercritical, we know that our Froude number should be greater than unity, and these depths will be less than the critical depth. So here the specific energy curve, but I have drawn, that is depth versus specific energy, and we can see here also. Let us, this is the section 1 where our energy is at upstream side, our specific energy is E1, and the depth possible, that is for the supercritical depth is for supercritical flow it is Y1, and once the this specific energy is once again decreases due to the height of hump. So here we can see that Y2 this specific energy is decreases, but we can see that the depth of flow at section 2 is increases. Here is Y1 and Y2, so Y2 is greater than Y1, and a stage will come when Y2 will reach to the critical value, that is Yc. So here I have written this: for supercritical flow, a decrease in the specific energy is associated with an increase in depth of flow and decrease in velocity. Once the in supercritical flow, once the specific energy is decreasing, specific energy is decreases, so our depth is increases and the velocity head will be decreases. Let us assume that at section 1 our depth is y1, and at section 2 the depth is y2. So we can write here E2 can be, or EC can be written as, here we can see that EC can be written as E1 minus delta Z max. So here I have written E2 is equal to EC is equal to E1 minus delta Z max, where E2 is the specific energy at section 2, EC is the critical specific energy, E1 is the specific energy at section 1, and delta Z max is the maximum height possible, maximum height of hump that is possible. So in case of supercritical flow approaching the hump, the required specific energy is provided with decrease in depth of flow at section 1. Similarly, we can write once the delta Z greater than delta Z max, so the choking condition will occur. As I have discussed in the subcritical flow, so the condition will be same in subcritical or supercritical flow. If our height of hump is greater than the maximum height of hump possible, so choking condition will occur. And at that time, E1 dash minus delta Z can be written as, here we can see that E1 dash minus delta Z is equal to E2 or EC. So when our height of hump is between the 0 to maximum height of hump possible, then at that time depth of flow y1 at section is constant, while the depth of flow at y2 at section 2 increases up to the critical depth yc. In subcritical flow, we have seen that when our delta z is in between 0 to delta z max, so depth of flow y1 means depth of flow at the upstream section is constant, but the depth of flow at the downstream or section 2 is decreases. Here in supercritical flow it is increases and it will reach to the up to the critical. Here where in subcritical flow we have seen that it will decreases and reaches to the critical depth of flow. So just opposite to the subcritical flow. When our height of hump is greater than maximum possible height of hump, that is delta z max, at that time our the depth of flow at section 2 will be reaches to the constant value and it will be equal to the critical depth of flow, and the upstream depth yn decreases to y1 dash. So where in subcritical flow we have seen that when our delta z is greater than delta z max, then our upstream depth is increases to y1 dash, and our depth of flow at section 2 is decreases and it will be constant, that is equal to the critical depth. So if I draw the depth of flow versus height of hump curve, so here we can see that once the our delta z value is less than delta z max, then our depth of flow at the downstream side is increasing and it will reach to the critical depth, and after that it will be constant, and the upstream depth we can see that here is constant up to the delta z max. When delta z is greater than delta z max, then the upstream depth will going to decrease. Here we can see that it will be decreases, and I have named at that it is y1 dash. So here we can write it is y1 dash. So this is up to the about the height of hump when our width is constant in a rectangular channel, and if the hump is provided or hump is occurred in a rectangular channel, so the specific energy at the downstream side will decreases due to the increase in height of hump, because the depth of flow at that section will be decreases. So two cases I have discussed. The first one is subcritical flow and supercritical flow. So in subcritical flow, we have seen that up to certain height, up to when our height of hump is between 0 to maximum delta Z max, then upstream depth is constant and downstream depth is decreases. And when delta Z is greater than delta Z max, then upstream depth is increases and our downstream depth, then means depth of flow at section 2 it will be constant, that is, and the value is equal to the critical depth. In supercritical flow we have discussed that once the our height of hump is in between the 0 to delta Z max, then our upstream depth is constant and downstream depth is decreases, and it will reaches to the critical depth up to at delta Z is equal to delta Z max. When our delta Z is greater than delta Z max in case of supercritical flow, then our upstream depth is decreases. Here we can see that, and downstream depth it will be constant, that is, and the value is equal to the critical depth. So let us take a few problems based on this. So with the help of this problem, the concept will be more clear. A rectangular channel has a width of 2 meter and carries a discharge of 4.8 meter cube per second with a depth of 1.6 meter. At a certain section, a small smooth hump with a flat top and height is 0.1 meter is provided to be built. So calculate the likely change in the water surface. So let us assume this is our channel bed. This is our channel bed, and this is the total energy line. So flow will look like this. So initially the height depth is given. This is 1.6 meter, and now a height of a hump is a smooth hump is made. This is hump, and this height of hump is 0.1 meter. So let us assume this is our section 11 and this is section 22. Here the specific energy is E1, and here we can see that this depth will come to the critical depth. So this depth is critical depth, and this is the decreased depth of flow, and this value is specific energy at 2. We can see that. So we have to find the change in the calculate the likely change in the water surface. So firstly we have to decide whether the flow is subcritical or supercritical. So here we can write what is given. So the channel bed width is given, B is equal to 2 meter. Discharge is given 4.8 meter cube per second. 4.8 meter cube per second. So if I compute the discharge per unit width, so it will be Q by B. So 4.8 divided by 2. So it will be 2.4 meter cube per second per meter. So firstly we have to compute the Froude number. So Froude number in case of rectangular channel is V1 by square root of G into Y1, or we can write Q by A1 into a square root of GYY. So the Q is given 4.8 divided by A1 can be written as B1 into Y1. So B1 is 2 meter into Y1. So Y1 is how much? 1.6 meter. So Y1 is 1.6 into a square root of 9.81 into 1.6. So Froude number will be 4.8 divided by 3.2 into a square root of 9.81 into 1.6. So it is coming 0.379. So it is coming 0.379. 0.379. So it is less than 1. So our flow is subcritical. This value is less than unity. So flow is subcritical. Now we have to find the value of specific energy at section 1. So E1 is the specific energy energy at section 1 1. So we can write E1 is equal to Y1 plus V1 square by 2G, or we can write Y1 plus V1 can be written as Q square by A1 square into root under 2G. Because V is equal to Q by A, so we can write Y1 is 1.6 plus 4.8 whole square divided by A1 is 2 into 1.6 into 2 into 9.81. So it is coming 1.6 plus 4.8 square divided by 3.2 into 19.62. So the specific energy is coming 1.97 meter at section 1 1. 1.97 meter. Similarly, if I compute the critical depth, so critical depth is, in a case of rectangular channel, Q square by G to the power 1 by 3. So small q we have computed, that is 2.4 whole square divided by 9.81 to the power 1 by 3. So it will be 2.4 square divided by 9.81 to the power 1 by 3. So it is 0.837. So it is coming 0.837. So critical specific energy is 1.5 times Yc. So it will be critical specific energy into 1.5. So it will be 1.26 meter. 1.26 meter. So we can see that a specific energy at the section is E1 is 1.97 and the critical depth is 0.837 meter, and the critical specific energy is 1.29, and E2 can be computed as, so Et is equal to, we can write E1 minus delta Z, because height of pump is given, so it will be 1.97 minus height of pump is 0.1 meter, so 0.1 meter, so it will be 1.97 minus 1.97 minus 0.1, so it is 1.87 meter. 1.87 meter. So the specific energy at 2 is greater than the critical specific energy. So the depth will be is equal to, the downstream depth will be Y2, and the upstream depth is, we have to change the value of upstream depth, because here we, sorry, downstream depth we have to compute, because it is still it is a specific energy at E2 is greater than the critical specific energy, so the downstream depth is not reaches to the critical depth, so we have to compute that downstream depth, because after the reaching the value of critical specific energy, so it will be the downstream depth will be equal to the critical depth, and at that situation, after that the upstream depth will be increases. But here the situation will be look like this, when our height of pump is in between the 0 to maximum height of pump. In that case, our upstream the depth will be constant and downstream depth is decreasing. So what will be the decreased value? So we can here compute E2 is equal to Y2 plus V2 square by 2G, and E2 is 1.87 is equal to Y2 plus V2 can be written as Q square, so it will be 4.8 square divided by 19.62 into width is constant, so 2 into Y2 square. So if I solve this, so Y2 is equal to Y2 will be, or we can write Y2 dash, so Y2 dash, so it will be how much? So if I solve it, so if I compute the value of specific energy at section 1 1, so it will be Y1 is 1.6 plus Q is 4.8 square divided by 2G is 19.62 into area is B into Y1, so it will be 2 into 1.6 whole square. So the specific energy at 1, if I compute, so it will be 1.6 plus 4.8 whole square divided by 19.62 into it will be 2 into 1.6 whole square, so 3.2 whole square. So the specific energy is 1.715 meter. So if I compute the critical depth, so critical depth. So we know that critical depth in case of rectangular channel is q square by g to the power 1 by 3. So q is 2.4 whole square divided by 9.81 to the power 1 by 3. So it will be critical depth will be 2.4 whole square divided by 9.81 to the power 1 divided by 3. So it is coming 0.837 meter. 0.837 meter. So if I compute the critical specific energy EC is equal to 1.5 times the critical depth. So it will be into 1.5. So it is 1.256 meter. 1.256 meter. And if I compute the value of specific energy at section 2, so specific energy at section 2, that is E2 is equal to, so E2 can be written as E1 minus delta Z. So E1 we have computed 1.715, so it will be 1.715 minus 0.10. So it will be 1.715 minus 0.1. So 1.615 meter. 1.615 meter energy, and the critical specific energy is 1.256. So the E2 is, here we can see that our specific energy at 2 is greater than the critical specific energy. So we can see that up to if I see the curve for the subcritical condition, so if I see the curve, so this is our the condition, upstream depth is constant up to the value of delta Z max, and then it will be increases. This is y1 dash, and the subcritical depth decreases up to critical, and then it will be constant. Y2 is equal to yc. But the energy is the specific energy of the section 2 is still greater than the critical specific energy. Means the it has not reached that the critical condition. So y2 value we can compute. So it will be the E2 is equal to y2 plus v2 square by 2g. So E2 is 1.615. So 1.615 is equal to y2 plus, we can write q square by 2g into a2 square. So by trial and error, I have computed the depth of flow at section 2. So we can write depth of flow at section 2. Depth of flow y2 is equal to 1.481 meter. So if I draw this, so it will be, let us assume this is our channel bed. This is the channel bed. This is our channel bed. And this is the total energy line. So this is the energy line. And this is the water surface. This depth was y1 is equal to 1.6 meter, and the specific energy E1. Similarly, and a small hump. This is the hump. And the height is 0.10 meter. And the critical depth we have computed yc. This is y2 is equal to, we have computed the depth of y2 is 1.481. So y2 is equal to 1.481 meter. Similarly E2, so this will be E2. So this is the E2 and this is E1. So at downstream depth I have computed the y2 and the y2 value is 1.481, and we can see that y2 is greater than y2. So y2 is not still y2 is much greater than critical depth. So we can see that our height of hump delta z is in between to 0 and maximum possible hump height, that is delta z max. So here we can see that our height of hump is in between the delta z max. So we can say that our height of hump is between 0 to delta z max, because in between uh, our upstream depth will not change and our downstream depth is decreasing, and once the it will reach to the delta z max, so our downstream depth will be decreases to decreases and it will be reached to the critical depth, that is 0.837. But we can see that our downstream depth is 1.481, that is greater than 0.837 meter. So let us take another problem. A rectangular channel has a width of 2 meter and carries a discharge of 4.8 meter cube per second with a depth of 1.6 meter. At certain section, a smooth hump with a flat top and of height 0.5 meter is proposed to be built. Calculate the water surface elevation at the hump and at a section upstream of the hump. Also estimate the size of the hump to cause a critical flow over the hump. So here width is 2 meter, capital Q is 4.8 meter cube per second. So small q will be capital Q by B. So it will be 2.4 meter cube per second per meter. And delta Z is equal to 0.50 meter. This is the scenario I draw. So this is the channel bed. This is the total energy or energy line. Energy line. This depth is y1 is given 1.6 meter, and the specific energy is coming E1, and a small hump and the height of hump is 0.5 meter. So we have to find the change in water surface. So firstly we have to check whether the flow is subcritical or supercritical. So Proud number F1 can be written as V1 by a square root of GY1, or we can write Q by A1. So A1 can be written as B into Y1 into a square root of GY1. So Q will be 4.8 divided by B is 2 and Y1 is, so it will be 3.2 into a square root of 9.81 into Y1 is 1.6. So it will be Proud number is, if I compute 4.8 divided by 3.2 into a square root of 9.81 into 1.6. So it is 0.379. So once again the Proud number is less than 1, 0.379. So it is less than 1, so flow is subcritical. And in case of subcritical, we know that the feature. So firstly, we have to find the E1 is equal to Y1 plus V1 square by 2G. So Y1 is 1.6 plus Q square. So Q square is 4.8 square divided by 2G is 19.62 into A1 square. So 2 into 1.6 whole square. So the value is 1.715 meter. Similarly, critical depth can be computed as Q square by G to the power 1 by 3. So it will be 2.4 whole square divided by 9.81 to the power 1 by 3. So it will be 2.4 whole square divided by 9.81 to the power 1 by 3. So it will be 0.837 meter. So the critical specific energy is 1.5 times the, so it will be 1.256 meter. And E2 can be computed as, so E2 is equal to E1 minus delta Z. So E1 is 1.715 minus 0.50 meter. So it will be 1.715 minus 0.5. So it will be 1.215 meter. 1.215 meter. So the specific energy at section 2 is 1.215, but the critical specific energy is much. We can here write that critical specific energy is greater than E2. It means our critical specific energy is greater than our specific energy at section 2. It means that our downstream depth is decreases and it has reached to the critical depth. So we have to compute the upstream increase in and the increase in upstream depth. So increase in upstream depth can be computed as we can write now Y2 is reached to critical depth and E1 is increases to E1 dash, and E1 is increases to E1 dash. So we can write here E1 dash is equal to, we can write EC minus delta Z. E1 dash is equal to EC plus delta Z. So E1 can be, we can write, if I make the curve for subcritical flow versus depth of flow and specific energy. So let us assume this is our straight line and this is a specific energy curve. So for section 1 let us assume this is our section 1 here the specific energy is E1 and the depth is, this is Y1, and similarly at section 2 this section is 1 this section is 2 so this depth is Y2 and it will decreases and it will reach to the critical depth. This is YC and the specific energy here is EC and this value is maximum delta Z max. So we can write E1 dash is equal to EC plus delta Z, or E1 dash is equal to EC plus delta Z. So here I have written E2 is equal to E1 minus delta Z, and here I have written E1 dash is equal to EC plus delta Z. So E1 dash can be written as E1 dash is equal to EC plus delta Z y1 dash plus v1 square by 2g is equal to EC is how much? Critical specific energy is 1.256. So 1.256 plus delta Z is 0.5 meter. So y1 dash plus q square. So q square is 4.8 square divided by 19.62 into a1 dash square. So v square into y1 dash square is equal to 1.756. So by trial and error, I have computed the increase in depth of flow at section 11, and this is the increase in depth, that is y1 dash is equal to 1.648. So we can see that initial the depth of flow at section 11 was 1.6 meter. Now it has increased to 1.648. So our specific energy at section 1 is also increases from E1 to E1 dash, and the E1 dash value is 1.756 meter. So if I draw, so this is our channel bed, this is the channel bed, and this is the energy line before pump, and now this is the energy line. Energy has increases, so energy line after pump. So this is, so this depth is y1 dash and it is 1.648 meter. Similarly, the energy is E1 dash, and this is the, sorry, this is our hump. So this is the critical depth, and this is the critical specific energy, that is 1.5 times the, here I can write the critical depth is, so how much the critical depth? So the critical depth is 1.837. So it is 0.837 meter. So this is the diagram. Now we can see that at section 11, so our depth of flow and specific energy is increases, and at section 22 the depth is reduces to critical depth. So at section 11, at section first y1, the y1 dash, and it has increased. Similarly, E1 turns to E1 dash, it is also increased, and y2 is reduces to critical depth, decreases. Now I have to find the, what is the uh, minimum hump. We have to find the minimum hump for this to flow. So delta Zm can be written as E1 minus AC. So the minimum hump can be computed as E1 minus AC. So it will be, so minimum hump height can be computed at E1. So E1 will be 1.715, 1.715 minus critical depth is, critical specific energy is 1.256. So 1.256. So it will be 1.715, 1.715 minus 1.256. So it is, sorry, 1.715 minus 1.256. So it is coming 0.459 meter. So minimum hump height is 0.459 meter.